This video is sponsored by Squarespace. I've been photographing since I was 15. I am now nearly 33, and I've made my fair share of mistakes when it comes to photography. So in today's video, I want to share the 12 most important ones with you so you can sidestep the mistakes, and whatever your goal is as a photographer, you can get there quicker. Getting the same camera as your favorite photographer will not make you photograph like them. We all have our idols when it comes to photography, and we are desperate to know what kind of gear they use. And whilst you can replicate some things through gear or lighting or technique, it's really not going to come down to any of those things. Buying a Ferrari won't make you drive like Michael Schumacher, and buying a Yashica T4 won't turn you into a successful fashion photographer, no matter how much you enjoy Terry Richardson's photography. Trust me. Being afraid of flash was something that was a great fear of mine for a very long time, and I opted to only shoot in natural light because of that. Once I got my first compact camera with a built-in flash and I saw how cool that looked, I then eventually delved into areas like off-camera flash, bounce flash, and as I got more serious as a commercial photographer, I realized how much this opened up my world and my scope, and I also realized that it's actually not that hard. So often I was like, oh, is that it? Or is that all you have to do? People are terrified of flash and it holds them back big time. If you want a little crash course in flash or just to build some confidence, I will link a video below that I have that covers an easy way to use flash. As I said in the beginning, I started photographing when I was about 14, 15, and I never dreamed that I would turn it into my career because I believed that it would ruin it. I hear this from so many photographers who are really talented. They don't want to turn it into their career. They don't want to monetize their hobby because it will ruin it. And I totally get that thinking. I learned though, it totally doesn't. I love shooting for work because I get to do it how I want to because of the way that I have approached it. I started slow and I built up with clients that really liked my work and they come to me for my style. So a lot of the time when I am shooting things, I'm like, I would probably do this for free. I enjoy this. So my biggest piece of advice, if you do want photography to become your side hustle or your full-time thing, is make the work you want to be hired for. Don't do the work that you don't want to get hired for. Make sure that your work aligns with how you want to shoot and the kind of clients you want to book. Keep putting that stuff out there and they will come to you. I hear a lot of photographers complain about time and not having time to shoot. And this happens to me. Sometimes a month can go by and I haven't shot any personal work. And something I have learned, especially in the last few years, is that consistency pays off and you really need to make time for photography. You can't just let it happen when it happens. You have to schedule it in and make sure that you are giving your hobby time. All of the greats, the people that have amazing photo books and gallery shows, they're photographing all the time. So we need to make sure that we're carving out that time for our hobby and really practicing photography regularly to A, be good at it, and B, produce a body of work that is amazing and going to get us somewhere. For so long online, I let my photography speak for itself. That might sound like a good thing, but trust me, it's a bad thing. My photography isn't the most digestible. It's of things that people aren't really dying to see, and I think it looks really cool, but a lot of people might not understand it. They might not enjoy it. As soon as I started showing up here on YouTube and sharing my why and just my personality, I noticed that my photography gained a lot more traction. I guarantee you there's a lot of people watching my channel or follow me on Instagram who aren't even really that much a fan of my subject matter or my photography, but they're following along for all of the other things. So it's not really about your work and your photography per se. It's about you as an artist and how you show up and connect with people. So consider that next time you get bummed out if your photo gets 5 likes, because my photos used to get 5 likes before I started a YouTube channel. Because of the saturation point online with photography now, there are a lot of beautiful images out there. So, that alone, even if your photography is really, really amazing, it's hard to gain traction. And if you can pair that with a unique story, a point of difference, or your personality, showing that as well, combined with your photography skills, you will hit the jackpot. This is one that I'm sure you can all relate to: buying too much gear. I know that there's an insane amount of gear behind me. I have a video on my channel that shows off my entire camera collection, and it makes me look like a hoarder. Buying too much gear really only hinders you. It makes it difficult to get out and shoot because you have so many options. You just end up with choice paralysis and you don't know which camera, which lens, which combo to choose. It also takes a toll on you mentally. I don't know about you, but when I look at all of the cameras that I am not using and not shooting, I just feel bad and anxious. And I think, oh God, I really need to make time to shoot all of these cameras. And how will I ever do that? A lot of us are so busy and we really don't need all of this gear. Obviously, there are people that are very into the gear side of things and they like to tinker around with cameras and stuff like that. But for most of us that just want to get out and take photos, you only need something that is going to do the job, something that's a really great daily carry, maybe a couple of other options, but you'd be better off selling off, which is something I am considering doing. A lot of the gear that you haven't used for a year or so, it's just sitting there. You could be using that to put into something else that you're either going to carry around all the time and it's going to tick a lot of boxes, or just use it for other creative pursuits or things surrounding photography that will enrich your life. Let me know in the comments below where you're at with gear this year. Are you selling off? Do you just have one thing, or are you still buying lots of gear? For so long, I just thought Instagram would do the job showcasing my photography. And for a while, I guess it did. I did book jobs and get opportunities through Instagram, but it has changed a hell of a lot in the last few years. It's no longer really a reliable place to just share your images. About 3 years ago, I bit the bullet and started a website through Squarespace, and that has been a game changer for me personally and professionally. I feel a lot more confident pitching to clients or collaborators, sending them a link to my website rather than my social media. And I just really enjoy having a space that I can curate and section things off into folders. So for so long, I thought, why would you have a website? But I think there are a multitude of benefits for a photographer, and it really helps you to take yourself seriously as well. Even if you're not a professional photographer, you're just somebody who wants to give your work the space it deserves online. Nowadays, with the way social media is, it is so much better to have something you can control, and we should all be driving traffic to our website because that's something we own. And the best place to do it, in my opinion, is Squarespace. Squarespace offers a complete library of professionally designed and award-winning website templates with excellent options for photographers. Just drag and drop to design something that's bespoke to you. I love how easy it is to get the online store up and running too, as this was something I was anxious about. But honestly, it's so easy to build a sales page, add buttons, sell presets or physical products. Maybe you're thinking about selling your beautiful prints or zines. Squarespace has everything you need to do this. So go on, stop complaining about social media and finally build that website and put your time and energy and money into something that you can control and you own. You can use the link in the description to get started today. Head to www.squarespace.com/Lucy Lumen to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain using code Lucy Lumen. Let me know what you guys build. I would love to see your website and share it online. Understanding how much light plays a part in your photography style has been such a game changer for me, and it's not something I noticed in the first few years when I was photographing. We can all tend to chase similar light. So, sunrise, sunset, that nice, soft, golden light, and our work can all kind of end up looking the same. It's really, really cool to see how much light can change the look of a photo and then how you can open up a new style for yourself based on that. And it's really bold to lean into something that maybe other photographers would be afraid of, like harsh midday light. That can create some really interesting shadows and has definitely helped me to build my own personal style. Being out in situations where the light isn't perfect forces you to learn learn things like fill flash or bringing in lighting like this lantern here and then seeing how much that changes the whole situation. I was completely unaware of this until I was put in these particular situations and had to find a way to combat them because that was the only time I had to shoot. And I think this makes for a more well-rounded, better photographer. So think about how you can impart that, even if it's just in your personal photography. How can you get out at a time and challenge yourself in a lighting scenario that you would normally avoid? It's a very big mistake to let a medium define your work. So what do I mean by this? I am somebody who has shot a lot of film. I am kind of known as the film photographer, but the end of last year and most of this year, I haven't really been shooting that much film. And for a while, I was kind of really nervous because film is something that I lean on and rely on for my style. I realized what a mistake this is, and letting yourself even think that will just play on your mind and make you think that you need film or you need that certain camera or you need that lighting to be able to photograph, and you should never be tied to anything like that. I have been embracing digital a lot more and just finding things that work for me and realizing that my style 100% carries over to digital, whether it's for work or personal photography. I don't need film. So don't let that be the one defining thing about your work, because one day it might not be there or you might not be able to afford it like me. When I first started getting photography gigs that were paid, I was really surprised because I kind of thought that photography was dead. And I hear people say this all the time. Whether it's AI or the rising cost of living and people not needing photos because video is dominating, whatever the reason, you hear people say it all the time, and it is just simply not true. I was booked back to back last year, and a lot of it was photography. And I get a lot of clients coming to me who just want photography. Think about it. They need images for emails. They need it for websites. They need them for socials, for ads, for lookbooks. We still have images everywhere despite the influx of video. And you'll be surprised how many photographers are out there who are so skilled and talented and competent, and they're not putting themselves out there. And because they're not, there are people out there who have no idea and they own creative agencies or they just have an iPhone and they're going for it. And people are happy with that output. And somebody who is watching now could do such a better job. So if you have dreamed of breaking into the commercial space and you've been a hobbyist photographer for a long time and you've built up a lot of knowledge, you have everything you need to break into the industry. I really took for granted how much of an impact focal length can have on your style. I pretty much just used a 50mm or a 35mm lens, and I would just either, move, get closer, or move further away. And I thought that that was totally fine. And I just didn't really think about focal length as something that was adding a whole lot to my photography, which I realize is really silly because it makes such a huge difference. It was only when it was put into practice though that I saw my partner has this like giant 200mm lens and milliliter.
Pretty cool.
No, I don't want to get too.
200.
Okay. Sometimes it's cool when people you show that you've gone and got it. Peter McKinnon does that and it's like more real. The lens in question, the giant 200mm lens that I was like, oh my God, who would carry this around? Why would you use this? And then when I saw the photos of me, I was like, oh wow, what an amazing portrait lens. Like just the compression, it just looks so beautiful, so flattering. And I then started to get really interested in how much of a role that can play. And we used things like a 28mm lens and saw how getting up close and then having your subject really at the foreground makes such an interesting photo. And I just started to see photos in focal length rather than just looking at them and thinking, oh, that's a really cool photo. It's one of those technical things that can really impact your style and what you're able to do. And since I have learnt this as a photographer, I really make sure that I take that into account for whatever job it is. I was using a 90mm lens for a long time because that was really suiting my minimalist, abstract close-up style. And I would reach for that when I knew that I wanted to go out and flesh out a project that was based around that style. This one here. Obviously, I told you not to buy too much gear and have too much gear. And now I'm telling you to like try all these different focal lengths. But if you have a photography friend that you can borrow one off just to experiment and see how you feel, I would highly recommend doing that and just noticing it and paying attention to how different the photos look or what the experience is like for you physically when you've got a different focal length. I do have a video on my channel as well where I use a zoom lens to sort of like find my favorite focal length. If you want to watch that, I will link it below. But don't underestimate the power of focal length. I am an extremely visual person. I very much care about the aesthetics of things, the look of things, outfits and such. So for the longest time, I chose cameras based on how they looked. And of course, you know, we love cameras, they're beautiful objects, but it really makes no difference to anything. And I have found out that the cameras that I am best working with and get the best results from are the ugliest ones, like my Canon Rebel G or my Nikon F60 or F80. They're just hunks of plastic. They look really uncool. No one's coming up to me like, oh, wow, I love your camera. But people love the photos and the photos look amazing. The camera gels with me. And it's taken me a long time to get to that point because when I was younger, I always wanted a camera that looked really cool. I wanted an old film camera and it would end up just being heavy, clunky, have problems, not really get the results I wanted, but I really wanted to be somebody who had that camera. And I realize a lot of you probably thinking like, you know, that's like vain and vapid, but that's kind of how we get into something, you know, the allure of the film camera or like the beautiful looking camera is normally the entry point for someone. And you want to be seen as someone who, you know, yeah, I have that camera, but really at the end of the day, it does not matter. And I am now at a point where I am happy to use literally anything. I do not care what the camera looks like. If it looks good, it's a bonus, but it is all about the end result. So there you go, my 12 big mistakes. I have more mistakes, but those are the ones that I thought were the most important. So I hope that this helps to give you some food for thought, sidestep some mistakes, and inspire you to keep going. I have learned so much in the 15 plus years that I have been photographing and here on YouTube. Let me know below if you guys have any big mistakes that you want to share or anything that you think will add to this conversation. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.